Hey guys, I'm so excited to be here finally, all the way back from Singapore, and I'm so excited because this is maybe the best time in history to discuss about data and AI, and even better, how data and AI going to transform cybersecurity. Hope it's going to be a fun presentation. I try to make it easy, but let me know if I'm overboring. Let me start with a story. You're probably familiar with those guys, Mr. Security and Miss Data. They went to uni together back then at the late 90s, study how to study network, how to code, computer science, done all the Cisco certification, and then they start their own career. A few years ago, they met right here outside the hotel in one of the coffee shops. And they start update one another what happened to each and every one throughout their career. So Mr. Security started as a cybersecurity analyst, then a DevOps, and just recently he's been nominated to one of the global CISO in a major bank here in the US. Miss Data, on the other hand, had a slow start. No one knew back then what is data science, data platform. But just recently, she's getting a lot of traction. A lot of traction, and she just nominated as the CDO of one of the biggest healthcare company here in the US. Mr. Security noticed that she wasn't alone. She came with her sidekick, brilliant kid, real troublemaker, but with huge potential, AI. Fast forward, they got married, and they have a new baby. Baby name is Fusion. Remember this name? We're going to come back to him later. He took all the great stuff from his mom. He's smart and innovate, but also played safe and secure. Now I'll start to give you a different perspective of how data and AI impact cybersecurity, from the risk angle, but also from the opportunity. I will start with the risk. You can see here the different cybersecurity domains on the impact level and how immediate we're going to see this risk materialize. Example, vulnerability management. Vulnerability management, maybe it's the most common domain that LLM and agentic going to transform. If from 2023, the time that it took to have exploit to a known vulnerability was 32 days. 2024, it dropped into 5 days. 2025, we're speaking on 24 hours. Imagine what's going to happen in the near future, if it's going to happen after a couple of minutes, couple of seconds, how it's going to transform the way we work. Second example that I'm going to give here in regards to secure development. I believe that most of you have experienced vibe coding, right? In the near future, 80% of the employees will be a creator or developer, download different package from the internet, code by themselves or on their own AI model, open source, third party, to expand the attack surface. But let's be optimistic here and go to the opportunity side. Where are the immediate opportunities? So after speaking with venture capital and entrepreneurs, they keep telling me that the first opportunity is going to be how we're going to simplify by using LLM and agentic area that are all technologies and manual work. And when I say to cybersecurity folks, all technology and manual work, immediately what we're going to aim to, identity and access management. More than $500 million were invested in IAM just for the past couple of months. Huge transformation. The second area, and here I would like to ask you, how many of you got a call from a vendor with a promise to automate his security operations center, your security operations center? A lot. Okay, I got a couple of dozen only for the past couple of weeks, because also manual work, structure, makes sense to automate it with LLM. I will touch this angle later on the presentation. But I want to go to a specific area for detection analytics, not because the AI and data are going to transform the way we work on this domain, rather than from this domain to give you a wider perspective how it's going to transform the way we address cybersecurity as a whole. In order to understand Revolution, we need to go back in time in order to see where we started. We started firewall, reduce the attack surface. Then we understand that we can identify a signature of incident that happened elsewhere, bring those signature, and voila, we have a prevention capability, antivirus, IPS, etc. Later, we understand that we need to understand a bit more about the behavior. So we have to have detection. We brought all the logs. We built a thing that's called logger or SIEM, push all the logs inside the SIEM, build some use case, put an analyst with a playbook, and he acts based on the playbook. What happened later? We introduced with the cloud. What's so unique on the cloud? That we can have logs for everything. The good side, we can have logs of everything. The bad side, we're having log of everything. Again, to the logger, to the SIEM. Later, we need to collect logs from SAS. Now we're collecting all the prompts. Think about the near future. We're going to collect identity of MCP, and you name it. In a parallel universe, some really cool technologies have been developed. The snowflakes and the Databricks of the world that know how to handle data at scale, how to build advanced analytic, and how to build healthy ETL. And that's bring us to an area that we need to think more broadly on what we want, how we want to address this. And I want to bring you into the best time of the year. And it's not the trip to Hawaii. It's the time where the CISO needs to convince his boss on the fact that he needs to renew a vendor licensing. And a solid CIO will ask the CISO 4 questions. The first question going to be, why we keep extending and expanding the cost of the most expensive tool in our toolbox? Makes sense. Second question, what is our forecast? We're going to keep increase the cost for this area? Probably yes. Third question, look at your colleagues. They start experimenting with a really nice and cool technology that know how to handle data at scale. Why not try to play with this kind of technology for your own needs? And fourth, and maybe the most interesting or important question, you're going to say, I've seen at Forbes that attackers start to utilize machine learning and AI in order to overcome security controls. How good are we in utilize this capability on the defense side? Tough questions. When I was there at this room, and I didn't know what to answer to those questions, like every other engineers, I started to lay down the principles. And I choose those 5 principles to start with. The first one, no one likes to move data from one place to the other. Privacy guys doesn't like it. The regulators doesn't like it. Even the CFO. It's really hard to explain to the CFO why, if I need to move data from one place to the other, within the same company, I need to pay for it. Egress cost. Doesn't make sense. So let's try not to move the data from one place to another. Second one, we went and asked the data science team and the data platform engineer, what's the most important thing to ensure while we're building the next generation platform? And they all told us one thing, Try to make the data clean, and if possible, also structure. So that's the second one. The third, moving from one vendor to another in this area is a chaos. It's a huge investment. Let's not have a vendor lock-in. Let's work native. Number 4, our analysts are very expensive, and they have a very high expertise and experience of years. Let's try not to change the way they work, not to change their UI, UX, their language that they use. Let's try to keep and maintain the same look and feel that they use. And fifth, and the most important one, is to really unlock all the advanced capability. But not only that, to be able to unlock the future capabilities, to be able to adopt very fast any kind of open source model or SaaS AI model that's going to come, the MCP for the future, and so on and so on. Now, I don't know how many of you are not cybersecurity, rather data folks. Not a lot. Okay, so I'll try to explain to the data guy that probably think those cybersecurity guys, they overcomplicate everything. It's like to build an app and to have this app working at scale, what could be that difficult in doing this? So those are the two different things and challenges between a regular app and a SIEM. Regular app, usually you have 3 or 4 different data sources. Few business logic, few change requests along the year, few feature requests along the year, maintain. SIEM, it's a chaos. It's thousands of different data sources that keep changing, different structure, different ETLs. Not only that, we keep onboarding new data source every 2 weeks, every couple of weeks. Not only that, the business logic keep changing 3 times a week. And it's in some cases, even within the 24 hours that we need to build a business case into the application. So that's the challenge of building this. And this is how we try to solve it. We took the framework, the platform of a SIEM, and start to break it into small pieces. And to align each and every one of the pieces to his native place in the company. ETL. Let's align the native ETL structure that we have and leverage what the company already leveraged for ETL. For orchestration and distributed query, the way we're doing it. We needed to build an orchestrator that know how on the fly to have distributed query, to query different data source across the company without moving data from one place to another. So we build it in scale on top of Airflow. For collaboration and ticketing, why having something specific for the security guys? Let's just use what we're using within the company, if it's Slack, Jira, or here it's ServiceNow. For analytics, let's try to keep it native as much as we can, but the most advanced. So we took Databricks for the advanced analytics. And we just recently utilized the really cool integration between Databricks and Power BI that allow us to have visual as much as we can, also with a native approach. And that's the end game. This is how it looks like. This is how it looks like at scale, where we can fuse and utilize any type of future data source that we would like into this native pipeline and native platform with the end of having hyper automation, and I will touch on that later. I'm a father of 3 kids. And like any father with kids in that age, I find myself every other week, at Toys R Us. And we came to the dilemma, what to buy, what kind of bricks or Lego to buy them. We have an option to buy the small cool box of Star Wars or Marvel, or there's really cool one of Sentinel-1, small box, or to go to the big box of the bricks. Pros and cons: if we'll buy them the small one, they will play with it a couple of days and then throw it aside. The big bricks, they're going to play with it, they're going to smash it, they're going to build something new, they're going to integrate it to previous bricks. It's going to expand their creativity. And most important, it's going to give me more time, because they're going to play much more time on the Lego. And this is what we managed to achieve. SCB, to whom of you are not familiar, it's the biggest bank in Asia. Okay, more than 100,000 employees. It's a big organization. This is what we were able to achieve. From reducing time to detect, faster investigation, huge cost reduction. And we're able to do really cool stuff with advanced analytics. Really cool stuff. Some of the stuff, by having the feedback and all the resolution of all the incident into the Databricks itself, only by using the cool Genie LLM, we're able to start asking questions and have queries in clear text language in regards to incident. What are the most recurrent incidents that we have? Who's the most efficient analyst? Etc., etc. But not only that, we start building things that we couldn't build before. For example, the digital physical anomaly detection. User behavior analytics, it's not in use anymore because of the amount of false positive. And why we have a lot of false positive? Because we're not using as much as we can machine learning and artificial intelligence as part of our detection. And I will give an example. My behavior as an employee within the corporate, it's totally different from my colleague. Therefore, while I'm building the anomaly detection to identify malicious anomaly detection, I need to baseline my behavior to myself, my colleague behavior to himself, and build this analytics at scale. Before we build this platform, we just couldn't have these kind of capabilities. Another example, the holy grail of cybersecurity and detection cybersecurity is to identify beaconing activities. Beaconing is the behavior of a compromised device back to his command and control malicious server. Why is it so difficult? Because there are hundreds and thousands of different devices across the organization. And you need to baseline all of them and to baseline the different behavior in order to identify these kind of activities. And only by doing that, by incorporating machine learning and also play with the attack framework, we're finally able to do something that no other vendor able to detect. Next example, you remember that the question that I asked you in regarding to a fully automated SOC and the fact that we won't need analysts anymore? I would challenge this approach. And I would say that from outside the company, in order to build something that's gonna bring efficiency for you not to having the need to have analysts, it's almost impossible. And why is it impossible? Because it's without the company context and without understanding the DNA, understanding the change request, understanding the different DevOps folks, understanding all the false positives that we have across the organization, and the historical investigations. So what we build here is by leverage LLM on top of our historical investigations, we're now able to put hypotheses in place and come up with a much faster resolution in order to get us to the journey of hyper-automation and a tailor-made hyper-automation rather than an external vendor with less context. And remember that we plan for a platform to be ready to adopt the future hypes or future technology. And when I say future, it's few months from now. So using MCP, we're now able to accelerate everything that I mentioned now. To accelerate it and to get to the next level of automation, really to try to bring a high level of detection with high level of an accelerate response. Now, if you build this platform, it's healthy, it's cost efficient, why not try to scale it up to other areas with same DNAs? And here comes the fusion. If we build a platform that we're able to identify malicious behavior, to identify the bad guys, why not to expand it to area within the company that somehow behind for some extent, or they don't need to have this. So all those domains are now working on top of this platform. Even an area that doesn't need to have inline detection or inline analytics or analytic in scale, we're now able to bring a real transformation to this area. And you remember this baby, Fusion. I would like you all to come up from this session with two insights. One, as I mentioned earlier, we need to build something healthy. We need to build a platform that will enable us to be ready for the future, to adopt the future change. Same thing I reflect about my kids and our kids. We need to build an ecosystem that will allow them to be innovative, to think differently, and most important, to adapt very fast for new change that coming toward us. Thank you.